Hi, welcome. This is the Transfer Talks podcast. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. So we're just going to have a chat about your transfer experience. My name is Taylor Swenson. I'm the JAX Online Coordinator with Transfer and Online Connections, as you know. But could you introduce yourself, tell me your title, just a little bit about you?
Sure.
Yeah.
My name is Stacey Calvert, and I am the Director of Transfer and Online Connections. And I've been at NAU, working for NAU since 2004. I had gone into advising for several years, and in the last over a year, I have been in this position in the peer mentoring program in Transfer and Online Connections. And I am an NAU alum. I got my bachelor's degree in psychology with a minor in sociology here. And I also got a master's in public administration. And I was a transfer student. I transferred from Pima Community College in Tucson.
Okay. And is that where you're from, Tucson?
Kind of, sort of. I
Okay.
was a military brat, but when my parents divorced, my mother had moved there. And
Okay.
so I spent a lot of years of my life in Tucson. And then I transferred here and loved Flagstaff and NAU so much that I stayed here.
Yeah. And I guess that kind of leads to the next question is, why did you choose NAU at the time, if you can remember, or what did you like about NAU?
So, well, it's kind of funny because we didn't have social media. So back in those days, I didn't even know that Flagstaff or NAU existed. And my mom actually recommended it. And I was a little intimidated about going to U of A because it's practically a city down there. And that made me a little bit nervous. And I just felt like I would kind of get lost in the woodwork. So I visited Flagstaff and NAU and I fell in love with it. I liked the small campus size. And that was a lot of the reason why I had moved to NAU.
Yeah. Yeah. So it sounds like you really enjoyed the size of the campus, like where it was located. Do you have a favorite memory from attending NAU, or just like something that pops out of something you really enjoyed while you were here?
Yes, I really like the smaller class sizes and how approachable the faculty were. I was a little intimidated, so it kind of reflected the community college. Pima Community College is pretty large, but
Okay.
kind of the same ratio of classes. And then also I enjoyed how people tried to they were really friendly and put themselves out there. And some of my favorite memories is taking some of the outdoor recreation classes. I took cross country skiing,
Oh, okay.
and hiking. I was in the hiking club, and I took a lot of fit classes to maintain some level of activity.
Yeah. And so that's not what you studied. You studied psychology, but you just really fell in love with being outside and outdoors and kind of got your experience. Okay.
Yes, I did. I mean, I do like a human behavior and the psychology of people. And so that's why I had majored in psychology.
Okay.
But I did really enjoy kind of those classes to get me out and about.
Yeah. And I guess our next question is, you mentioned it a little bit from going from Pima Community College to NAU, is what was your transfer experience like? Do you remember how you felt going from Pima to NAU and how that actually turned out?
Yeah, so part of the reason why I went to the community college was because I was a little bit kind of nervous about just jumping into the college experience right out of high school.
Yeah.
And so the community college helped me with that transition of kind of getting my feet wet while I was still kind of tied in. And I liked how, for me personally, NAU was far but not too far away from home, so I still felt like I had this connection. My experience was when I transferred, I had no friends that I was transferring with, so I came here knowing no one, and so that was a little bit intimidating for me.
Yeah.
I did move on campus because I didn't know how to navigate really the apartments. They didn't have a lot of apartments out there during those days because that was back in '89 that I transferred. But I do remember feeling somewhat lonely, and going home quite a bit on weekends because I felt lonely, but I made an effort at getting more involved into clubs and, sports, just to force myself to meet people and to kind of meet my friends.
Yeah. I know that NAU has a lot of housing options, and so that's a very common choice for a lot of transfers. But I also can understand the feeling of being close enough to home to go visit home and how hard it can be to make friends. And so it sounds like you adapted well, and so that you had a really good experience while you're here because you're still here.
Yes.
And so kind of moving into thinking about how you graduated and so what does it feel to be a transfer graduate now, kind of looking back at that experience and also like thinking about your role as the director of our transfer and online connections too?
So my looking back as a transfer student, I think that being at the community college, like I said, kind of helped me with transitioning into college life.
Mm-hmm.
It was also a little bit hard for me because I felt like some of the classes were a little bit more rigorous for me when I went to NAU, but I had used a lot of the tutoring services to get me up to speed. So I think that helped a lot. As a director and coming from like an academic side, I felt like academic advisors were good for students to understand, the academic requirements. But I think that there's a lot of other things that students need to kind of learn how to navigate that the mentoring programs offer,
Mm-hmm.
and also to just get out there and maybe participate in events that student affairs offers or even the academics side offers.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that too. It seems like academic advisors are like maybe your first point of contact as a transfer student, like getting your transcripts in and trying to make sure you're in the right classes and how everything articulates. But moving beyond that, like what is the actual experience like being here on campus and meeting people and adapting to like what the university offers. And so I definitely agree that our Transfer Jacks program does a great job of trying to help students adapt to that. And I would imagine, was the Transfer Jacks around when you were on campus?
They were not.
Okay.
They didn't have academic advisors either.
Oh my goodness.
We went to faculty. So I think that's been a great transition. One thing that I really do like about the mentoring program is since it's a peer mentoring program,
Yeah.
it's actually students that are experiencing real time because, like I just mentioned, there are so many different things about the support systems
Mm-hmm.
uh, that they were so different when I was experienced as a student. So it's a little bit harder for me to have that real world experience that is more recent because the university has evolved, it has changed, and so to have that peer mentor there and to actually have the events of knowing I know what my peers like and how my peers are experiencing real time, I think is a lot more helpful than maybe other people could provide because their experiences were even just a couple years ago. There's been a lot of changes. So I think the peer mentoring program is great about that.
I definitely agree with that too. So one of our last questions, we have two more, is what do you wish more people understood about the transfer experience?
I guess that the transfer experience can be a little bit lonely. And so, getting out there to meet people could be a little bit more of a struggle because they've started 2 years after the freshmen have started, basically. But they come in with kind of different perspectives to offer because they came from all other institutions. So they have a lot to offer too because they've had so many different experiences than maybe a freshman has who started here.
Yeah, I like that perspective of looking from a strengths perspective, not like what are transfer students lacking from not being here, but what are they actually bringing to our campus and adding to the community here too. So I really like that perspective. And then kind of the last question here for as far as transfer experiences, what piece of advice would you give transfer students?
So I guess I would give about like three things that I would advise. Definitely take advantage of the peer mentor that's assigned to them on their first semester because that peer mentor knows how to navigate through NAU. It could be policy and procedure. It could be figuring out what tutors to go to, just kind of where they're a perfect person to tell you where you need to go next. And if they don't know the answer, they know where to find it. And so I think the peer mentors can offer so many things for somebody who's new, especially new, who's coming all alone. And then academic advising. See your academic advisor, make sure all of your transfer credit is fulfilling the requirements that they should be fulfilling, and your advisor could do that. And then also to meet with the academic advisor regularly to make sure that that you're taking the classes that you need to take and graduating as soon as you can. Mm-hmm. And then my third advice would be to get out there and to be involved. The Transfer Jacks program has a lot of events, but there's also other events across campus and online events that students could participate in, so they could just get out there. And that's part of the way to learn about who you are, what your interests are, and also to start to establish your own community.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. And so a fun question like this or that is, what's one of your favorite places to eat in Flagstaff?
Well, currently it is Deli Palace. They have delicious food, and I would say that they have the best service that you could ask for.
Yeah, I've actually heard that this week too.
That is great. I mean, they come in, it's like, you know, they'll fill up your glass if you drink it a million times. And I mean, they're great. They're really friendly people, and the food is absolutely delicious.
Oh, well, sounds pretty yummy. Well, I just want to thank you for being here and sharing your experience with us, and just hope to catch you all on the next Transfer Talks podcast.
Thank you so much, Taylor.
Thanks.